December 1972 is a long time ago, and that's how long it's been since they had a space mission around the moon. That changes on April 1st as Canada's Jeremy Hansen is part of a 4-person astronaut crew taking off on Artemis 2 for an historic mission around the moon. To talk more about it, thrilled to be joined by my very own astronaut, Mike Wixson.
Space case.
You've been in space a few times.
I believe that's true.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Jim. I appreciate that. This is cool.
Well, it's very cool.
I was 3 years old the last time anybody made an attempt to go up to the moon. And, I don't recall it with such excitement as I do this. And I will say this. I can't tell you how many people, Jim, I've said, so we're taking off for the moon this week. And everybody that I say it to says, we are.
Well, so here's the thing you have to understand. In 1969, when Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, they go to the moon, the whole world stopped for this moon mission. That all started with John F. Kennedy trying to beat the Soviets, the Russians, to the moon. So they land on the moon, which with slide rulers and hand calculators and math on a chalkboard, like Good Will Hunting. That's how they did it.
Yeah.
And then by 1972, when Apollo 17, they're like, yeah, that's fine. And it's been talked about. You had the space shuttle, you had all these space missions. Space in low orbit and high orbit is filled with satellites and space junk. But it's amazing to me it's been so long. We're at 54 years since we're back going around the moon.
Well, our space missions became very different.
Very much so.
The onset of the space shuttle and
the space stations.
Really observing space became more of a mission for us, and setting up the world with the right satellite telemetry so that we have communications and safety and defenses.
Well, GPS and everything, right?
That became the focus. Getting to the moon seemed to be like one and done. Okay, we're good. We did that. Let's move on.
So here's where it's different. And here's what I find fascinating about the geniuses and the scientists behind it is there is a real plan to have a moon base.
Yeah.
To have people actually spend a serious amount of time on a moon base on the moon. So with the rocket, the Artemis 2, and the rockets that they're using, and the technology and the advancements from 1972, this is the big test launch, Artemis 2. They have an Artemis 3, Artemis 4. They actually land on the moon and start laying the groundwork and planning for the next phase, which is a moon base. Now, there's a few reasons for doing this. It's all part of the next steps to getting to Mars, but they also want to beat China because China's mentioned they could be there in 2030. Yeah. And once that happened, it had the same push that America had in the 1960s with Sputnik in Russia.
It's interesting to me that we think getting to the moon first still is a really big deal. I mean, let's say America gets there first and then China arrives. What are we going to do? Set up a subdivision? There's going to be property lines? I don't know. I think at that point, we're all in it for the same reason. But you're right. This is interesting because this, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, you're more the science and space guy. I know that for sure. But this is all about getting the journey down pat, getting a test underway that shows that we can get around the moon in this fashion like we've never done before and hit its orbit and then understand anything that needs corrected before they try to actually stick the moon, as it were.
Yeah, so it's 10 days, and as the rocket launches, it circumnavigates the atmosphere around the world into low Earth orbit, and they use the slingshot of gravity to get to the moon. It's 1 million kilometers, and they end up traveling over the 10 days, and then they go around the backside, the dark side of the moon, and slingshot back. So once they leave the orbit of the moon, it's 3 days back to Earth, and then they end up in the capsule, which goes through Earth's atmosphere. But it's all part of this, like a whole grand plan, a master plan, learning about the path, the travel to the moon, going into orbit, like high orbit, they're calling it on this trip around the moon, and then making the steps to get on the moon and figure out what it's going to take to put mankind back in the moon and put a moon base there.
With actual permanence, yeah.
Yes.
And as you point out, they already are talking about what will be in that moon base, that it will be survivable for months and months at a stretch, that research and the ability to understand how to get off the moon into other parts of our cosmos will become the focus.
Because the quest to put someone on Mars is always with us. It's something huge, but we have to be able to pull this off as a species, as scientists, before they can think about getting to Mars. Because Chris Hadfield had a brilliant interview. He's one of the great pilots and astronauts this country's ever produced. And he mentioned that they can get to Mars. There's no way to get home.
That's what I've often heard, and that's a terrifying notion. Yeah. One-way trips are never... Nobody ever books a one-way trip without a huge amount of effort on the other end to either launch a new life. No, a one-way ticket is always terrifying.
So this is where, as a Canadian, I'm so proud of Chris Hadfield. Like Jeremy Hansen, a former F-18 pilot, and now an astronaut. But when Chris Hadfield was on the space station, they realized that being in space for a long period of time, when you're there for a duration of time, your body shrinks, your muscles atrophy. So when he was there, they had exercise equipment set up so he could do exercises and work on his body. So when they tested him, when they came back to Earth, they found that Chris Hadfield had good muscle mass, good density, good fitness levels. And because of that, they have built a piece of exercise equipment into the capsule for Artemis 2. So it looks like a rowing machine built into the wall with handles, and they can do a series of exercises to keep their body strong while they're in space for 10 days.
They've made some accommodations that are really cool here. So this, by the way, is an interesting point, because what they're doing is trying to create sustainable life once you're in space. Once you're on the moon, what are we going to do to keep human beings healthy in an atmosphere, in an environment, in a gravity set that is not normal to humans? That's an evolution that we're trying to make right there. And it's Chris Hadfield at the head of that is wild, because you're right. He was the most active astronaut. I often used to say, now there is one hyperactive astronaut. But it must be killing him to be in that capsule. But he kept active the whole time.
He did.
He was all about nutrition and all of that while he was in space.
He kept his mind active, his body active, and they learned so much. Canada's Chris Hadfield gave them so much information, so much research from his time to help in the evolution to where they are right now. And a lot of the changes, a lot of technology that they needed, these previous astronauts, like Chris Hadfield and the other astronauts, like, you need this, you need that. And so when they were doing the design, they knew that. So something simple. They have a proper toilet now.
I was going to say,
for the astronauts.
I understand they have real toilets.
A real toilet.
Wow.
So, and it seems silly, but the previous Apollo missions, they didn't have that.
No, and I think that there's a lot of technology. It sounds silly, but I would imagine a lot of technology has to go into a zero gravity toilet. You do not want any zero gravity problems.
No.
So this fascinated me, because the other thing that we saw is how far we've come as humanity.
Yes.
In the process of doing this. There are, on this mission, for the first time headed to the moon out of North America, we have a woman on board.
That's right.
That's a mark of where we've come in history, a Canadian. So we've combined a mission for the first time going to the moon, where two countries are sharing people up there. And I love that becomes the spirit of this, that, okay, experts from other parts of the world will maybe be invited into this process to help create this permanence.
And here's the one thing that you can't question any of the four astronauts: the vetting process to even get to the selection stage.
I didn't even get a call back.
Yeah, right. So they take the best and brightest students, scientists, pilots, and then they have to go through this rigorous mental and physical and educational training, even to get close to the. So when you see these four, they are the the elite of the elite
on Earth.
On Earth,
yeah.
And both for the Captain Glover, the African-American captain, who's going to be piloting the spaceship, and everyone else on this capsule for Artemis 2, they are the very best.
I got some stats. You want to hear them?
Yes, please.
NASA's Space Launch System produces 8.8 million pounds of thrust when it takes off.
Wow.
That's more than Saturn V, the rocket that originally took humans to the moon, by almost twice. So getting in, and the reason for it, getting into that atmospheric pull requires that they line up with a certain speed and accuracy that they haven't had to do before. The next generation heat shield Survival tech. The Orion capsule re-enters Earth at 39,000 kilometers per hour, and the heat shield can withstand 2,800 Celsius.
And real quick, that,
by the way, that's the surface of the sun.
And that's crucial because how many times have you seen the movies and they depict re-entry like, oh, my heat shield's failing?
Oh, yeah.
Because with the way the math works and math and physics, you either hit it the wrong way and you skip off, or you hit it the wrong way, you burn up.
Well, let's remember that was a problem aboard the space shuttle, the Faithful Space Shuttle. It was all about the heat panels that I think came off in the process. So this is kind of cool. The mission travels 384,000 kilometers to the moon. As you point out, they're going to do over 1 million kilometers by the time the journey's over. And they're testing long-duration survival beyond Earth's safety zone.
Yeah, and that's the big part of it. How you feel, because you're not taking bags of fruit and stuff with you. Everything, it's the food, it's the water, it's the training, it's daily functions, going to the bathroom. It's doing scientific experiments, because if they are going to put people on the moon and a moon base, all this information they're gathering all helps them, like, hey, we got to tweak this, add this, remove that.
I love this NASA tweet. We're not going back to the moon to plant a flag. We're going back to stay and then launch into the cosmos from there.
See, now to me, that's the interesting thing about all of this. So we know how much power, as you mentioned, it takes to launch from the Kennedy Space Station in Florida, the Earth's atmosphere, into the moon. What if they're able to develop and get the equipment and launch from the moon? How much better would it be to launch from the moon towards Mars? And maybe that's what they need to get there and back.
I don't know, because I'm not a scientist, but it sounds pretty darn smart to me.
Now, if anyone's watching and they ever get a chance, I know you're not supposed to like America now, but by God, the Kennedy Space Station in Florida is unbelievable.
Damn, it's my favorite.
It's so cool.
It's so great.
Now, the Gemini capsule, they have one where you, like, it's a mock-up of what it was, and they have it open, and you can sit in it. And
yeah,
my wife is not a big human being, and she could barely fit. I'm like, how the heck
crazy
did these pilots with a spacesuit, their knees would have been up like this?
They were literally up against themselves for the entire duration, I think.
It's unreal.
You know, I had a really great family experience one time at Cape Canaveral, Kennedy Space Center. So in that very capsule you're talking about, there I am enjoying myself, flipping. You know, you can flip the switches. Woo, you're in outer space. And if you got an imagination like mine, I mean, really, I was out there. Yeah, and I'm screaming at my kid beside me, come on, hold on, we got this. You know, so all of a sudden we hear you got to go. I was like, what the hell is that? Sir, you got to go. The park closed a half hour ago.
You were there after close?
We were there after closing. And he said, it's okay if you want to stay, but there's a lot of alligators. So
there is.
We moved on.
Yeah, there is. There's no joke. Yeah,
but it is fantastic if you get the opportunity.
It's the one thing, Mike, in all joking aside, that no matter what country you're from, what your political belief, what language you speak, where you're from, the fascination of space travel and getting people into space on sustained. I mean, look at all the TV shows and movies that we watch with fascination and all the books we read, thinking about, do you think we could do that someday? And now we're getting closer and closer to a permanent moon base where people come and go and live there for great lengths of time. And they're talking about using a small nuclear reactor like they have in an aircraft carrier to provide the energy and electricity that they need on the moon base, and maybe using the moon base as a platform to launch into deep space.
On another note, I do believe that plays of Dark Side of the Moon are going to increase over the next 10 days by 100-fold. As we get closer to the countdown, why don't we do this? We'll take you now to the launch of Artemis 2.
10, 9, 8, 7. RS-25 engines lit. 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition. And liftoff. The crew of Artemis 2 now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
Good roll pitch. Roger, roll pitch.
Houston now controlling the flight of integrity on the Artemis 2 mission around the moon.
Integrity, AMT high.
AMT
time.
On time, passing 30 seconds into the flights. Integrity passes the alternate beacon. Target milestone. Mission Control Houston seeing good performance on the 4 main engines. Space Launch System core stage. Integrity, 3 miles in altitude. Traveling more than 1,200 miles per hour. Mission elapsed time, passing 1 minute, approaching max Q.
On, Ponce de Leon. Stan, we have you loud and clear on Ponce de Leon. Have you the same.
Communication signal transfer confirmed as Integrity and its crew go supersonic. Approaching 90 seconds into the Artemis 2 mission. Integrity is 14 miles in altitude, 8 miles downrange, traveling more than 2,600 miles per hour. One minute 50 seconds of mission elapsed time, standing by for main engine throttle down to 85%, ahead of solid rocket booster separation expected at the 2-minute 9-second mark. We see throttle down. Confirmed separation. Main engine's throttling up, guidance converged.
Integrity, guidance converged, performance nominal, upper stage RCS ready. Copy all, Stan.
Patriotic means looking out for each other and fixing things together.
True patriotism is being in the country you love, surrounded by people you love, and great weather.
Being a patriot is being a part of your community and caring for it.
It doesn't matter who you are or where you're from, patriotism is the one thing we all share.
It's okay to be critical of government and still be a patriot.
It's gratitude to your country.
Of course I'm a patriot. I'm Canadian. It's my home.
Well, actually, true patriot love is the mission.